All right, we are back for another Friday financial wrap up with Mr. Michael Zuber. How are you, Michael?
Hey, man, I'm doing well. Thank you for recording this on Thursday. I've got some family plans actually on the road right now, so I'm doing this from my car. But thanks for doing it early. I appreciate you.
We always get it done, and this is, probably one of many times you're traveling or I'm traveling. Hey, let's get it done in the car. Let's get it done on the road. This is for actually October the 6th, which would be Friday. However, we are recording on Thursday, October the 5th, 2023. Let's get right into the show notes. The JOLTS report, what is it, and what did you see this week?
Yeah, so this week is all about the job market. Is the job market cracking? Is it weakening? Or is it going to remain robust? So we get three numbers this week. We have two of them. We're going to talk about the third. JOLTS was first. It came out on Tuesday. JOLTS has been on a trend of going down, right? It peaked, I think, at like 10.1 or 10.5 million openings, then under 10, then under 9. I think last month it was like 8.8 million. It was expected to stay at 8.8 million. It came in at 9.6 million. So a significant beat, a significant trend reversal. We will look for validation next month to confirm the trend is not some outlier. But it was not what we wanted. If you wanted lower rates, if you wanted a Fed pause, seeing a job market where there were 800,000 more openings this month than last was not a good thing. You saw the stock market have a horrible day. I think it was down 400 points or something. You saw the 10-year note explode higher based on Tuesday's numbers. So, yeah, the Tuesday JOLTS report was not what we wanted to see.
Interesting. Very interesting. And I know that you've talked about it in the daily financial news as well. Let's keep going. Let's talk about ADP report, talk about what happened this week, and talk about the significance and how it all kind of ties together. And then also what we're expecting tomorrow.
So the ADP report is unlike the JOLTS report, which is job openings. The ADP report is how many private sector jobs were created, right? So a different category. And again, I think the expectations for that were about 150,000. For the last couple of months, the ADP report has been high. Like 2 months ago, I think it was like 580,000, for example. This month was weak. One would argue very weak. I think it came in at like 79. It might have been 89,000. Something sub 100,000. Something low for like the last 12 months. It was exactly what we wanted to see. Still getting some job growth, but nothing crazy. Wages were still growing, but trending down. No wage spiral. The ADP report was everything we hoped for. Now, the important number, Friday's number, is the Bureau of Economics, whatever they call it. And they're going to report how many jobs were created in the month of September. Expectations, I believe, are 170,000. This is what I'm kind of putting out there. If we get a number that is a significant beat, call it 185 or more, no bueno, not good. Rates will tick up. If we get a number around 170, it's kind of a nothing. I'm actually holding out hope, and I actually said this before the ADP report, is I'm hoping for a number like 155 or below. That will be, again, still job growth, still an economy that's doing okay, but one that is still trending slower. The other thing we're going to watch for is the unemployment rate. The unemployment rate last month ticked up. It ticked up to 3.8%. Expectations are it will come down to 3.7%. My hope is it stays at 3.8%. Again, 3.8% is still great. It's still below 4. It's still below full employment. It's still a good number. But the Fed needs to see the job market subtly weakening so they can stop this nonsense of rate hikes. I think rate hikes are done. But, dude, if the job market comes in with like a 220 or a 215 tomorrow, watch out.
Very interesting. So again, I think a lot of people thought, okay, we're through the woods. You've been very clear talking that you talked about the dot plot in terms of the other people that sit on this Federal Reserve board. Generally, the consensus is potentially there's still trouble out there. We could actually go higher on rates. You're right now today, based on talking about JOLTS, ADP, and then the big number on Friday morning is that the job market, whether market is improving or weakening, is really going to influence where we go next with rates. Is that pretty accurate?
Absolutely. And you'll see an immediate impact. I think the number comes out at 5:30 a.m. Pacific pre-market before the market opens. If they come out with a barn burner like 200 plus, the 10-year note will skyrocket. The 30-year note will skyrocket. And now if it comes in low, it has the potential to go the other way. Friday's number will be market moving.
Very interesting. Okay. Well, we're going to keep an eye on it. And obviously, I think for sure this is something, it's an interesting time. Thank God we got Michael Zuber. I want to also just note something you said in the Daily Financial News. We've got obviously auto workers on strike. We've got now Kaiser Permanente. We've got healthcare workers on strike, potentially even service workers in Las Vegas going on strike. That does not really play into any of these numbers. You mentioned that, just maybe a little short cliff note on that.
Yeah, so the ADP report does not list a strike worker as unemployed. They count them as employed, so it has no bearing on ADP. The UAW strike could potentially impact next month's numbers. The calculation for this month, which we will get tomorrow, was done on September 12th. The UAW strike happened on September 15th. So if there is any impact, it will be ever so subtle. But if this is still going on in a couple of weeks, it will have a potential impact on October's job picture, but it should have no bearing on this one. The Kaiser strike just started, no bearing. The Vegas strike is still a threat, no bearing. So the number that comes out tomorrow, relatively clean.
Okay. Very good. Good to know. And I just wanted to mention that because that's all really hot topics here for sure as we're moving forward. Let's talk about, speaking of hot topics, last week we were talking about a government shutdown. What happened in Washington, D.C.? Talk about McCarthy getting fired and maybe pull all of that together. A lot of people talking about it. What does it really mean?
Yeah, so McCarthy was fired, and now there is going to be I assume, a battle to get that job. I assume it will not be quick. But what you and I, real estate investors, anybody hoping to borrow money or buy a home, what we need to worry about are two things. One, I think we're at risk of another downgrade. There are 3 companies that rate U.S. debt. 2 of them have downgraded us already. What is going on in Washington, D.C. has the potential for that third and final downgrade. I actually think the downgrade happens in the next 10 days. It will be meaningful, so it's something to watch for. Second, I wore a shirt last Saturday, I think, or Friday, with swing and a miss because the government didn't shut down. You and I spoke. I'm like, dude, government shutdown's coming. I think it's going to be the longest ever. I was wrong. Freely admit it. But here's the deal. I don't think I was wrong. I think I was early.
Yeah.
There's a 45-day clock, and I stand by the fact that I think we will have a government shutdown. It just started 45 days late, and it will be long.
Yep.
I do not see the Republicans and Democrats agreeing on anything unless we have the longest shutdown on record. I don't want that. I don't think it's good news. It will be messy. It will be a problem. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I have to wear this shirt again, but it is what I think.
Very interesting. And then again, I mean, really for them to get this worked out and really be on track in that 45-day window, it's going to take a lot of bipartisan work for them to come together. And that clearly is not the case with McCarthy getting fired and just kind of we're divided. We're very divided as a country politically. Is that pretty accurate?
I don't think that would shock anyone. I actually think there's probably 4 parties. There's the far left, the far right, the left, and the right. And then maybe there's a 5th party, the independents. I think even the left and right is splintering into smaller factions, which makes it really hard to get stuff done. But we got to go through this mess. You know,
Yep.
we have real problems, and
Yep.
it's going to be messy.
Very interesting. Well, speaking of messes, let's let's talk about something you mentioned. 10%. It's even hard for me to say 10% mortgages. I have a hard time saying it. I'm a kid that grew up with 6, 7, 8, 9%. 10%
Yeah.
mortgages. What the hell, Michael? What's going on?
Yeah. So first off, actually, a couple of people have pointed this out. So Patrick Bet David,
Yep.
I think about 6 months ago, was talking about 10% mortgage rates, and I was poo-pooing the idea, saying it wasn't possible.
Yep.
So again, he was right. I was wrong. I have no problem, admitting that. But I got a call, I think it was Tuesday, from a guy on the East Coast I know. He said, Michael, I hope you're sitting down. I go, tell me. He goes, I just quoted my first 10% owner-occupied mortgage. Now, in fairness, bad credit, sub 640,
Yep.
low down. So it's kind of a extreme case.
Yep.
But a 10% mortgage rate was quoted. Now, in fairness, the average is 7.7. So we're nowhere close to 10% at the average. But 10% mortgage rates are being quoted. And, Patrick Bet David, shout out to you. You were right.
Yeah, it is. And it's interesting because I was just talking about this on another Zoom in a mastermind group. And that, during the summer, you and I were very locked in saying, okay, we're going to be sub 7. We're going to see mortgages with a 6 on it coming in the fall, 6.89, 6.99,
Yeah.
something like that. But in fact, seeing it go 7.5 to 7.75, probably 8%. Who knows? Tomorrow's a big day, but it's just like in that bond rating, them rating the US, that's a big, big deal. We could easily be at 8% in the next 10 days. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
On the
if
average,
everything
right?
went wrong, yes, absolutely.
Okay. So again, we're not through the woods. Soft landing, an interesting idea for sure. Let's keep going though. We're going to end on 2 positive notes. Let's talk about the first one, which is Fannie Mae and house hacking. What were your thoughts there? What did you see this week? Or just kind of maybe some ideas about house hacking and Fannie Mae?
So this is brand new information. It was posted yesterday by Fannie Mae. It will go into effect in 6 weeks. So let's catch people up. You could always house hack a single family home and get a 3.5 or 5% down conventional loan. You could do that at a duplex, but you couldn't do it at a triplex or a quad unless you were on some home path or some other program. It wasn't available to everyone. Instead, for a triplex, you had to put at least 15% down, or I'm sorry, 20% down. A fourplex, you had to put 25% down. So it was a meaningful down payment, even if you wanted to live there. Fannie Mae yesterday basically said house hacking units is good. They took the minimum down payment all the way to 5%. No program, no home path, no home this, home that. If you want to buy a fourplex, you want to live in one of the units, you can now do it 5% down. It is game changing for people that want a house hack. Now, please keep in mind, you still got to do the math. You don't want alligators. You don't want to overpay. But dude, 5% down to buy a fourplex, get 3 other people to help you pay the mortgage. It could be game changing for hundreds, if not thousands of people in the next 6 to 9 months. It's pretty awesome.
That's exciting. That is exciting. That is definitely good news. And I hope people really understand that, like 5% down on a fourplex. Never seen anything like that, in 30 years. So, and especially on a Fannie sponsored deal, because you are going to get a better rate. You're not going to get some crazy, wacky investor rate. So
nope. Fannie Mae, baby.
I love it. Let's end on a high note. So we always do. Let's talk about the opportunities. We mentioned before, days on market obviously are going to grow significantly, especially based on what's probably coming down the pipe. We're going to see a shift in this market, at least with days on market, price reductions, things of that nature. Where are the opportunities for the one rental at a time community?
This is the time where do the work makes the most difference. Again, I want people to hear this. I've been buying homes for 22 years now. This is the second best time to find motivated sellers. Let that sink in. If you're trying to sell a home when the going or prevailing rate is 8 or 9%, you've been on the market 30 days, you're probably motivated. This is a time to skill up, to add the other tools to your bag, creative financing. It is the time to get comfortable writing disrespectful offers. It is the time to realize that money is in the follow-up. What do I mean? When I write a disrespectful offer today on the property, I expect the agent and the homeowner to tell me to F off. That is what I expect and what I want. Then I follow up in 7 to 14 days. I write the same exact offer. At that point, I expect a conversation. I expect them to try to meet me somewhere in the middle, and I say, no, thank you. Then, if it's still on the market in another 2 weeks, I write the same exact offer, at which point the seller will do one of two things. One, they will take my offer because they are motivated. I'm the only one there. Or two, they will take it off the market and they will wait for the spring selling season. And frankly, I don't care which one it is, but that's what I am doing. And it works. It's a process. It's never easy, Ty. It's never easy. But this is the second best year to find motivated sellers. You just got to do the work.
You just got to do the work, folks. And I can say too, that even as we're in this transition in this next phase, the fourth quarter, going into a new year with all the uncertainty, I just really believe, I thought it was going to happen last year. I think this season, this change into the new year, we're going to start to see the creative deals, the seller financing, the sub twos, because there's so many 3%, 4% mortgages out there. And you're just going to see the shift that, not a crash for sure, not a crash in values, but just enough of a softening with days on market and pricing potentially softening up to where people are going to say, wow, maybe I should look at some of these alternative solutions. Thoughts,
if
Michael?
You got to sell. If you got to sell, you got to sell. I would not want to be a seller in this market. If I was selling in this market and I didn't have to, I would take my house off the market immediately and put it back on in February or March. I do not want my property on the market in October, November, and December. But if it is,
somebody needs to sell.
Somebody needs to sell.
Folks, you've heard it. Opportunity is now. By the way, I want to say for everybody out there, if you're watching this, we appreciate, make sure to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. If you're watching this on another feed, go to YouTube and follow Michael at One Rental at a Time, at One Rental at a Time on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe. Also, last but not least, Michael, are there still some seats if people wanted to jump into your mastermind, into the, forgive me, but I know you're running that course, the live training on the weekends.
Right.
Where is it on? What is it called on the website?
Yeah. So I have a boot camp, a 10-day boot camp. We're doing day 4 this Sunday. The first 3 days are recorded, so you could get caught up. Yeah. If you still want to be a part of it and catch the last 6 days live and get caught up, it's $999. Get you all the live sessions that are remaining, get you everything else I've ever created, which is like $700-800 in value itself, access to the Facebook group, all of that. The feedback's great. And this Sunday, we are looking at everybody's buy box and their tracking spreadsheets. So should be a lot of fun.
There you go, folks. And people can interact with you and ask you questions. This is a live Zoom. It's not a webinar. It's not a record. They're getting recorded in case people miss it or go back to rewatch it, but it's live with Michael, folks, with a multi-millionaire who's doing the work, who's doing this as a contribution project. Folks, if you're interested in that, go to onerentalatatime.com, get yourself signed up for the boot camp. Michael, thank you for all that you do. Safe travels. Have a great weekend, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you.